Hey, and welcome to Memo Anime Recap. Today we are going to be recapping a Japanese sci-fi anime called Unbreakable Machine Doll. Along with the invention of machine art, machine magic that could give life and intelligence to mechanical dolls later referred to as automatons, the Walpurgis Royal Academy of Machine Art was established. Raishin Akaban and his humanoid automaton Yaya must overcome one of the top 100 students after dreadfully failing the Academy's admission examinations in order to gain entry to the evening party, a competition between puppeteers utilizing their automatons. The Wiseman title and access to the potent forbidden arts are conferred upon the last person standing. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to get future content. In the first scene of the series, a guy and a girl are seen traveling on a train. The guy's name is Raishin, while the girl's name is Yaya. Yaya is trying to whisper love words into Raishin's ear, but he just shrugs her off. Sitting in the same coach with them are two kids. The kids are fascinated by the duo. It appears that Raishin and Yaya are traveling from London to a place known as the Mechanical City. Suddenly, the train develops a fault and refuses to stop. Yaya and Raishin get on the problem. Yaya and Raishin run to the front of the train to try and stop the train before it hits the major terminal. Yaya jumps in front of the train and starts to push it back while Raishin uses a spell to apply brakes. The train stops at the last minute before hitting the station and commuters. After successfully saving the train, one of the little girl thanks Yaya and Raishin for their help. She asks if Raishin is a magician, but he says no. He reveals that he is a puppeteer and Yaya is an automaton. The duo leaves the train station and arrives at the Walpurgis Academy of Machine Art. The academy is the greatest educational institute in the world of magic. This is also where the Wiseman's evening party is being held. As they enter the gates, Yaya promises to stay by Raishin always. Raishin reminds Yaya that she is just a tool he needs for his revenge. Yaya was created by someone named Shuko. Raishin enters the admin room while Yaya waits for him outside. Moments later, he comes back out with his entrance result. He took the 1225th position of the 1236th total position. Raishin is down because he has one of the best automatons and he ends up producing such awful results. Yaya lifts his spirits by telling him that he is strong. His result might say otherwise, but she is sure that Raishin cannot lose when it comes to real-life battles. Just then, a woman steps out of the admin room and introduces herself as Professor Kimberly. She is going to be Raishin's homeroom teacher. He asks the teacher how he can get invited to the evening party. She tells Raishin that the event known as the evening party is only open to the best 100 students. She wants to know why he wants to feature in the event. He reveals his intentions to become a Wiseman. Kimberly wants to know more, but Raishin will rather keep things to himself. Kimberly tells him to be well prepared because the event is not for jokes. He will lose his life if he doesn't prepare well. During their conversation, we get to find out that the school came into existence alongside the rise of Machine Art. Simply put, Machine Art is known as mechanical magic. The school aims to produce the best puppeteers in large numbers. Kimberly ends the conversation by calling Raishin Mr. Second to last, a name to mock him because of his position. Yaya and Raishin are passing by one of the buildings when a blonde-haired girl shows up behind them and scolds them. She informs the duo that they are at the female dorm. Yaya and Raishin quickly adapt and find their way to the male dormitory. That night, Yaya forcefully has Raishin to herself while they are in the room together. The following day, Raishin is walking through the school when he runs into the blonde-haired girl again. Turns out her name is Charlotte, and her automaton's name is Sigmund. Charlotte is Char for short. Sigmund is built like a dragon. Charlotte is a second year in the school, and it comes as a shock when Raishin challenges her to a duel. The duo make their way to the arena where the battle is to go down. They have several other students watching also. The match between the duo is about to start when other students show up to attack Charlotte. They all attack her in unison to try and defeat her and her automaton. Raishin tries to stop them and inform the student that Charlotte is his prey and they have no business interfering. The intruders inform Raishin that they have also been planning to take on Charlotte for weeks. The intruders attack Raishin. This infuriates Raishin, and he gets serious. He and Yaya easily displace the intruders. After the dust has settled, Charlotte tells Raishin not to get the idea that he saved her. Raishin finally introduces himself to Charlotte as the Raishin of the Akane clan. Yaya then introduces herself as Raishin's wife. Raishin quickly points out that he and Yaya are not a couple. Yaya is always personalizing Raishin to herself. Charlotte wants them to continue their duel, but Raishin refuses. He points out that Sigmund is wounded already. While they are returning home, Sigmund teases Charlotte. He can see that Charlotte is already interested in Raishin. That night, Yaya forcefully sleeps on the same bed with Raishin. She claims that automatons recover quicker when they are close to their puppeteer. The following day, Raishin, Charlotte, and their automatons are having a meal in the cafeteria when he sees a boy in a mask walk by. The image of the boy seems to trigger a long-term memory. Charlotte realizes that Raishin is about to go after the boy. She calls the boy Magnus and tries to dissuade Raishin from engaging him. Charlotte has not finished his sentence when he and Yaya jump out of the window to go after Magnus. Raishin approaches Magnus and says he traveled from the other side of the world just to see him. Magnus replies and says he has no idea who Raishin is. Raishin doesn't care what Magnus has to say. He tries to attack Magnus, but he is suddenly surrounded by 6 automatons who are ready to terminate him. One of their blades cuts Raishin in the neck and a little fluid drips out. It is revealed that Magnus is a top student when it comes to combat in the school. He has the skills to control up to 6 automatons at once. He is also considered the top candidate for Wiseman. Raishin then tells Magnus that he only wanted to give him a token of friendship. He hands Magnus a vial which he accepts gratefully. Magnus and his automatons leave after this. Yaya apologizes for not being able to stop the automatons. Later that day, Raishin is seen in the bathroom thinking to himself. He knows that Char is right. He cannot beat Magnus the way he is right now. He wonders if he will ever be able to match Magnus. Yaya ends up joining Raishin in the bathroom. She assures Raishin that he will win for sure. She trusts him. Raishin wants to chase Yaya out of the tub, but she forces herself on Raishin as usual. The next day, Raishin is walking through the school when he is approached by one of the students' disciplinary officers, Felix. Raishin is about to walk away because he is not interested in talking to Felix, but he changes his mind when Felix reveals that he can offer him an invitation to the evening party. Raishin is interested, but Felix asks them to see after school so that they can continue their chat. During Kimberly's class, she informs the students that all types of automatons are fitted with the magic circuit of life. This is known as the Heart of Eve. The dolls are able to act autonomously because of this circuit. After class, Raishin immediately finds Felix so that they can continue their chat. Char sees the two talking in the distance, and she wonders what the duo is talking about. Sigmund tells Char that he is impressed with Raishin. Raishin is treating Sigmund like an individual rather than a machine. Charlotte then tells Sigmund that she has not given up on training to defeat Raishin. On the other hand, Raishin and Felix are seen discussing. Raishin demands to know the reason why Felix wants to see him. Felix informs Raishin that 26 students have gone missing from the academy in the past year alone. There have also been 12 cases where automatons have been destroyed. Felix says the crimes are the work of Cannibal Candy, the puppeteer. Felix wants Raishin to find Candy and take him down. Raishin asks why the task is being given to him. Felix then states the 2 major reasons. Raishin just arrived at the school, which eliminates him from the suspect list. The second reason is that he is strong. Felix witnessed his fight the other day. They are in the middle of this conversation when another member of the disciplinary committee, Liz, shows up. She informs the duo that Candy has struck again. They just found a half-eaten doll behind the engineering department. They make their way to the crime scene where they find Char spectating. It turns out that Felix and Char know each other. Felix has been asking Char for a date, but she keeps turning him down. Felix informs Char that he will continue with his mission to woo her once they are done with the case. Raishin takes a look at the doll and finds out that the Heart of Eve is missing. Felix tells him that Candy always removes the heart. Raishin agrees to investigate the case, but he tells Felix that he will do so in his own way. Later on, Liz finds Raishin and tells him that he has something she wants to discuss with him. Raishin tells Yaya to go to the dorm and wait for him while he has a discussion with Liz. Liz then tells Raishin to be careful around Charlotte. She reveals that her automaton is a band doll. Sigmund was built using organic parts, which is in clear violation of the constitution of magicians. It is also said in reports passed down in her family that Sigmund has consumed humans in the past. Her main point in everything is that Candy is also a band doll user. This is the reason she is telling Raishin to be careful. That night, Raishin is in his room when Charlotte shows up at his window. She asks Raishin out on a date. Yaya doesn't want Raishin to accept the invitation, but he breaks Yaya's heart and he accepts the date invitation. The following day, Yaya reveals her intention to follow Raishin out on his date, but he refuses. He reminds her that automatons are not allowed to follow them on a date. Yaya and Sigmund will be left in the school. Raishin holds Char's hand and they make their way to town. As they leave, Yaya falls to the ground and starts to cry. Sigmund comforts her and tells her to trust her puppeteer. Sigmund is a judge of character and he can see that Raishin doesn't have lust in his eyes. While Raishin and Charlotte are having a meal, they get to discuss several trivial matters. Raishin reveals that he is supposed to be stronger than he is, but he rushed his training. Instead of controlling multiple puppets, he now makes use of his body as a substitute. Raishin tells Char that he has his reasons for wanting to become a wise man. After they are done eating, Raishin asks Char to escort him to the store so he can get something for Yaya. This will pacify her anger towards him. The duo arrives at the school to find out that Candy has struck again. Raishin is agitated because he believes that Yaya might be the victim. He runs toward the crime scene and Charlotte follows suit. He gets to the scene to find out that the victim is not Yaya. There is some sense of relief on his face when he makes this discovery. He realizes that the victim is one of the automatons he fought the other day. Felix approaches Charlotte and tells her to stop poking her nose in the candy case. He says some hurtful words to her and she runs away with tears in her eyes. Raishin scolds Felix for treating Charlotte anyhow. Felix then tells him that he needs to act that way because he doesn't want her to be in danger. He promises to make it up to her once they have solved the case. However, he doesn't want her involved for now. That night, Raishin arrives home and Yaya welcomes him dearly, as if nothing happened. She tells Felix that she has prepared a delicious meal for him. She takes Raishin to the dining table, but he is surprised when he finds out that Yaya was only mocking him. She prepared nothing for him. Raishin knows that she is angry, and he quickly brings out the pair of boots he bought for her. Raishin says her current boots are old, and she needs a change. Yaya happily accepts the gift. Raishin then assures Yaya that he is not in love with Char. He doesn't even have any romantic feelings toward her, he says. Raishin then says he suspects Char of being Candy. The attack happened while they were on a date. There is every possibility that she carried out the attack to create a strong alibi for herself. Sigmund was in school when the attack happened, and he could have been responsible. They are in the middle of this when Lise calls. She tells Raishin that she is looking for Char. She has not reported to the dorm. Lise thinks Char is with Raishin, and that is the reason she is calling. Since Raishin has no idea where Char is, she has no business talking to him and she hangs up the call. Raishin realizes that Char must be out carrying out an investigation all by herself. He and Yaya are about to leave the dorm when they run into Shoko. Shuko's assistant, Irori, is also with her. Yaya tells Shuko that her functions are running perfectly. Raishin invites the duo into his dorm room. Shuko talks to Raishin about the students he fought with when he arrived at the school. She notices that Raishin is refraining from terminating the dolls. Raishin then tells Shuko that he sees automaton as humans also. This is the reason he doesn't want to terminate them. Shuko then tells Raishin that he should be careful around Candy. It turns out that the army has been trying to ascertain his identity without any luck. Shuko calls Yaya to come over. She touches Yaya's chest and she feels a sharp pain. Raishin asks her what she did to his automaton, and she reveals that she removed her shackles. It is of basic knowledge that Yaya possesses human strength, but her natural enemies are water and wind. No matter how powerful she is, those weaknesses cannot be suppressed. After this, Shuko leaves. Irori asks Shuko if Yaya will not devour Raishin because she is powerful, but she says no. Shuko says Raishin too is strong, even though he just picked up puppeteering in the last 2 years. A flashback scene shows when Shoko initially found Raishin. He was the sole survivor of the Akabani clan. She gave Raishin the chance to work for her so he could have his greatest wish fulfilled. She is ready to help him find his target and eliminate him. Irori wonders if Raishin will ever be strong enough to defeat his brother, Tenzin. Shuko then says, revenge is worthless. She is very sure that Raishin will resent her when he finds out the truth. After the departure, Raishin and Yaya continue their search for Char. They run into Lise, who tells them that they are still trying to find Char. Several magic circuits were found in her room, and they are still trying to find out if it matches the stolen ones. Lise then takes Raishin to the facility where vital types of machinery and automatons are being kept. They have been given permission to enter the facility. She suggests that Yaya stays outside because she is capable of destroying all the automatons inside the facility. Upon entering the facility, Raishin asks Lise about Felix's automaton. He wants to know more about it. She describes the automaton for him, and Raishin is able to deduce that the automaton is an antique version. They are in the middle of this discussion when Raishin steals the keycard from Lise and runs toward her locker. He opens the door to her locker to find out that Lise's original body is inside the frozen tube. It turns out that the Lise she has been talking to is a band doll. Before Raishin could react, she hit him in the head for poking his nose where it didn't belong. Lise closes the tube before guards make their way into the room. She tells the guards that Raishin and his automaton are the culprits, and they should be apprehended. The guards immediately get into action, and they go after the already wounded Raishin. On the other hand, Sigmund and Char are out carrying out their investigation when Felix shows up. He tells her that they have been trying to bait her so she can slip up. He accuses her of being cannibal Candy. She's soon surrounded by multiple guards. Meanwhile, Yaya and Raishin are already wounded. They are being stretched away when Kimberly notices something off. Just then, Yaya lets out a fearful scream and releases an energy blast from her body. The blast attracts all the guards, and Felix is left with Char. Felix's automaton also arrives to support him. Felix then reveals that he is Cannibal Candy and he just framed her. He has also disposed of Yaya and Raishin. Felix is doing all of this in an attempt to become Wiseman. He orders his automaton to eliminate Char. The automaton throws a spear at Charlotte, but Sigmund jumps in and takes the hit. Another spear is thrown at her, but Raishin and Yaya arrive just in time to save her. Charlotte starts to apologize, but Raishin scolds her and says she doesn't need to apologize. He is ready to fight and take down Cannibal Candy once and for all. Raishin and Yaya appear to be wounded, but the duo doesn't mind their injuries. Yaya then explains to Raishin that Charlotte was born into a noble family who had several automatons. Charlotte treats the automatons as people, and there is a particular dog automaton that she was fond of. One day, the dog automaton attacked a boy. Her family was deranged because of this, and all the automatons were disassembled. All of Charlotte's family members went missing while she was in boarding school. She was eventually thrown out of the school, but she managed to get a scholarship to the present academy. Her aim is to be reunited with her family. This is the reason she has been gathering magic circuits to try and build back the automatons she has lost. She doesn't see automatons as tools, but as people. This is the more reason she hates Candy. Raishin hears this, and it increases his urge to take down Candy to help Charlotte. Raishin uses a spell to break the mask on Felix's automaton's face. This is to let his comrades know that Felix's automaton is a band doll. She has the face of the original Lise. It turns out that the real Lise was murdered and replaced. Raishin faces the doll and asks her what her name is. She reveals that her name is Eliza. Raishin then suggests that Eliza stay out of his fight with Felix. Eliza refuses the offer, and Raishin says she just took the burden off his mind. He is free to attack her as he wants. The battle begins, and Raishin sends Yaya after Eliza. The duo fights each other fiercely, and Eliza uses a water spell. Charlotte reveals that Eliza has the ability to devour the abilities and spells of other automatons she has defeated in the past. Yaya loses focus and Eliza is able to cut Raishin. Raishin tells Yaya not to worry about him and to focus on the battle. The battle continues, and Eliza shocks them by using several magic spells. Raishin is already worn out from the battle, and Yaya is not doing so well either. Meanwhile, Magnus is standing in the distance and he is observing the fight. Kimberly also joins him, and she asks if they will be joining the fight or not. Magnus points out that Raishin had revealed so many clues about his fighting skills, and that is the reason he is losing the fight. Kimberly can see that Raishin is already weak, but he is still getting back up. Eliza uses a chain to trap and carry Yaya into the air. Char is sad that she cannot contribute to the fight. Sigmund is in no state to fight because he is wounded. Just then, Raishin finds another sense of strength, and his body starts to glow. Char tries to dissuade him from exhausting himself. She doesn't want Raishin to be branded as an accomplice once he defeats Felix, and there is no proof to back it up. Raishin says he is ready to take on the world if it comes to that. Raishin uses a speed attack to go after Felix, but Felix easily blocks the attack and pushes him back. Felix is impressed that he still has the strength to fight him after all the injuries he has suffered. He then offers Raishin the opportunity to be his ally in the evening party, but Raishin refuses. Raishin activates another spell that gives Yaya the strength to land a blow on Eliza. Felix rescinds his offer and says Raishin is dangerous. He wants Eliza to destroy him and Yaya. Eliza goes after Yaya, but she is well prepared this time around. It appears that Raishin is now operating on another level. He is able to power Yaya so much that she continues to punch Eliza around. Eliza is forced to use her miss spell in an attempt to devour Yaya. Felix reveals that he plans to use the same spell against Magnus at the evening party. However, her plan is unsuccessful when Yaya gets the upper hand again. Eliza's armor is broken, and she is left bare. She falls to the ground while Yaya is still standing strong. Kimberly, who is still watching the fight, figures out what Raishin did. Apparently, his plan all along was for Yaya to get injured so Eliza will try to devour her. It is the basic rule of automatons that two body fluid types cannot exist in the same body. Yaya's fluid has mixed with Eliza, and that is the reason she got unstable. Raishin finishes her off with a powerful spell that she has no defense against. After Eliza is destroyed, Raishin walks toward Felix and punches him in the face. Raishin then apologizes to Yaya for making her shed too much body fluid. Raishin walks toward Charlotte and helps her to stand up. On the other hand, Magnus is telling Kimberly that he believes Raishin will be the one to cause an upset at the evening party. He brings out the container that Raishin gave him and reveals that he hasn't opened it. However, he suspects that the contents of the container are ashes. It is a custom to throw ashes on someone you want to enact revenge on, he says. Kimberly wonders why Magnus is Raishin's nemesis. Before Kimberly leaves, she asks Magnus if all of his dolls are band dolls. Magnus doesn't say no, which means he is saying yes. Kimberly is impressed that Magnus can create band dolls at such a young age. Later on, Raishin is given a medal, and he is also given the slot as one of the wise men's candidates. He is regarded as one of the gauntleted. Raishin is portrayed as a hero who saves the day. Everything was thanks to Kimberly's testimony. During the testimony, Char gives Raishin an amulet that contains a defensive spell. It is an appreciation gift for saving her. She then reminds Raishin that they will be enemies at the evening party. Raishin says he might hold back, but Yaya is not ready to hold back. She will fight Char and Sigmund with everything she has got. This is to dissuade Char from snatching Raishin from her. Some days later, Raishin and Yaya get to the dorm room to find a girl in a trap hanging from the wall. Yaya accuses Raishin of being in love with the girl, but he denies it. He says he doesn't know who she is. They free the girl from the trap. The girl also has a dog automaton. She gives Raishin a cake as appreciation. Raishin eats the cake, but spits it out. The girl reveals that she wanted to add sleeping powder to the cake, but ended up adding lots of salt instead. When they ask the girl what she wants, she reveals that her aim is to assassinate Raishin. Later that day, Raishin is seen having a discussion with Char. Charlotte is surprised that Raishin let the girl go, after she revealed that she wanted to assassinate him. With the description that Raishin gave her, she is able to deduce that the girl is Frey. She is a third-year student with the codename Silent Roar. She is ranked 99th, but she will be Raishin's first opponent at the evening party. She must have realized how strong Raishin is after he defeated Eliza and Felix. This is the reason she wants to take Raishin out before the evening party. While they are in the middle of this discussion, they see Frey setting up another trap for Raishin. She ends up locking herself in the cage after setting it up. Just then, a guy named Loki arrives to talk to Frey while she is in the cage. Raishin says he looks like Frey, and Charlotte reveals that Frey and Loki are siblings. Loki scolds his sister, and Frey's automaton, Ravi, takes it personally. Loki calls on his automaton to fight Frey's automaton. Loki's automaton is a giant machine that looks scary. The automaton is about to hit Ravi, but Raishin arrives just in time to block his attack. Loki tells Raishin to get lost, but he refuses. He reminds Loki that the evening party does not start until tomorrow. Loki tells Raishin that he is not on the same level as him, and he hates it when someone orders him around. The duo starts to trash talk each other and end up holding each other's clothes. Charlotte stops them from going further. Loki tells Raishin to withdraw from the event and also stay away from him and his sister. Raishin says he can't, and Loki leaves. After his departure, Raishin frees Frey from the cage. Raishin asks Frey why her brother is fighting her. She reveals that her brother has a grudge against her. She leaves without divulging all the details. Later that day, Raishin is required to attend a supplementary class because he is considered the least among the contestants. Raishin is now ranked 100th. Kimberly specially organized the class to help him out. He and Yaya are the only ones in the class while the rest of the contestants are busy training or preparing for the event. Kimberly explains that the evening party is a royal rumble. The 100th ranked contestant and the 99th ranked are the first to fight when the event starts. The loser is determined when one of them loses his or her gauntlet. Raishin is planning to avoid tough fights until the end. This will help him to have enough strength to engage the much tougher opponents. Meanwhile, Frey's father is seen encouraging her. He has high hopes for her and believes that she can defeat Raishin. He promises her the opportunity for them to live together again if she manages to defeat Raishin. That night, Raishin has a dream about his brother, Tenzin, and his sister, Nadeshiko. It is more of a memory and not a dream. He stands up to see Frey on the same bed with him. Yaya puts on the light and she starts crying. She believes that Raishin is cheating on her. She wouldn't listen, that Frey is just trying to frame him. Raishin is forced to call someone and tell them to investigate Frey. He is tired of her nightly raids. The following morning, Charlotte tells Raishin about the company making Frey and Loki's automatons. The company's name is Divine Works, and there aren't nice rumors about them. Charlotte informs Raishin not to hold back when fighting the siblings. Charlotte is surprised that Raishin is not in the slightest nervous about the event starting that night. She reminds Raishin to bring the amulet with him. Just then, Ravi appears from the woods and attacks Raishin. He injures Raishin in the arm, but Raishin throws a stun grenade at him to incapacitate the automaton. Raishin assures Frey that Ravi will be fine. He is just surprised that Ravi is acting like a rogue. Raishin is trying to interrogate Frey when Yaya shows up in a towel. She is ready to annihilate Frey and her automaton. Frey gets on her automaton and rides away. Moments later, Yaya's sister, Komurasaki, arrives. Komu has been sent by Shokuo to go undercover with Raishin. Yaya wants to follow them, but Komu tells Yaya that she has been ordered to carry out the mission with only Raishin. Raishin pumps Komu full of mana so she can activate her invisibility ability. The duo makes their way to the orphanage where it seems several dog automatons are kept. Meanwhile, Yaya and Sigmund are having a discussion on a public bench when someone or something attacks Yaya. Red liquid starts dripping from Yaya's body. She lays on the floor unconscious. Professor Kimberly is on the balcony looking at the whole scene. Shuko is also present. Kimberly asks Shuko if Yaya can be repaired and she says yes. Shuoko wonders why Raishin is not in the school. It appears that Kimberly knows who or what attacked Yaya. After a brief discussion, Shuoko leaves. A dog automaton appears in front of Komu and Raishin. They are surprised to find out that the automaton can speak. They are more surprised that the automaton can even see them while they are in the poltergeist state. The dog automaton tells Raishin that he is a prototype of the Garm series, which her son, Ravi, also belongs to. They are equipped with a certain circuit known as a circuit. They make use of sound waves to see and hear at the same time. Raishin can easily figure out that the automaton is a bandal. He is able to figure this out because there is no puppeteer around, and the automaton is using magic. The automaton then reveals that she was locked up because she has outlived her usefulness. She is meant to be dismantled. Raishin hears this and gets infuriated because he hates it when there is a price put on life. He then offers the automaton the chance to leave with him and Komu. The automaton gives no reply and asks Raishin why he is there. He reveals that Frey is after his life. He wants to know why Frey will be targeting him. The automaton tells the duo that her name is Yomi. She asks the duo to follow her so she can show them things that will horrify them. Back in the academy, Yaya regains consciousness, and Sigmund is surprised that she took a hit that powerful, and she is still alive. Sigmund wants to call for an engineer, but Yaya refuses. She says the best chance she has is with Raishin. She needs his mana to get operational again. Charlotte arrives and tries to pump Yaya with some of her mana, but she realizes that she is not up to the task. Meanwhile, Kimberly is seen making a deal with a doctor. She asks about Raishin's status. After the doctor has told her everything she needs to know, she offers the doctor a huge amount of cash. She then tells the doctor that he will start working for her. He only has two choices: work for her or he dies. Yomi informs Raishin that Frey's parents were killed when she was younger. She and others were taken in. They are all siblings, and they are known as the Promised Children. Yomi is surprised that Frey is trying to eliminate Raishin. Frey is a sweet and kind girl, she says. Yomi takes them to another section of the building where they see several babies in tubes. Just then, the alarm goes off and Yomi tells them that she knows a way for them to escape from the building. The guards are hot in their tails, but they manage to escape into the sewer system. Yomi then reveals the reason why Frey wants to terminate Raishin. She says the Garm series will be suspended if Frey loses at the evening party. This will make way for the Angel series, just like Loki's automaton, Cherubim. Suddenly, they are surrounded by guards again. Raishin manages to take down all the guards except one. The last guy points a gun at Raishin. Back in the school, Charlotte has finally managed to pump Yaya with enough mana to get on her feet. They are confused as to where the ballistic missile came from. The shell has no markings on it, so there is no way to trace it. It dawns on them that Raishin might also be a target, because they want him to withdraw from the event. Raishin manages to take care of the last guard, but reinforcements soon arrive. Yomi is wounded in the process. Komu finds an exit for them. Raishin carries Yomi on his back, and they start to climb off the ladder. Yomi decides to sacrifice herself so that Raishin and Komu can easily escape. He gets back to school and informs Frey that Yomi is dead. Frey thanks Raishin for releasing Yomi out of her cage, because she has been held captive for years. He gets to his dorm room to find Shuko waiting for him. Yaya is now fine, and she has been waiting for Raishin too. Raishin is able to deduce that Shuko only used him to further her investigation into divine works. She then tells Raishin about his next mission. She wants him to pull out Ravi's sonic circuit. This infuriates Raishin because there is no way Ravi will survive if he pulls out his sonic circuit. Shuko is basically telling him to end Ravi during the evening party. Later that night, the event is declared open. The first match is between Raishin and Loki. The match begins, but Raishin is not in the right state of mind because he is still feeling the effects of Yomi's death. As the battle proceeds, Raishin unconsciously gets in between Cherubim's attack on Yaya. He gets cut in the back, and the amulet Char gave to him goes flying in the air. Loki sees that Raishin is lying on the floor with Yaya crying over him, and he leaves. He doesn't want to continue the fight because he will lose his qualification if the fight lasts any longer. His opponent mustn't die in the fight either. He goes to his father's chambers to see him after the fight. His father asks him why he gave up his 7th position for the 99th position just to fight Raishin. He reveals that Raishin would have defeated Frey. His father threatens to end him if he continues to act on his own. He orders him to destroy Ravi when he fights Frey the following day. Raishin is taken to the medical section to receive treatment. Yaya runs after him, and Charlotte is scared that she will give herself away as a bandal. She starts to cry that Raishin has gotten hurt again because of her. Aurori shows up and comforts her. She assures her that Raishin will make it out alive. He will not die until he has defeated Tenzin. Charlotte and Sigmund sleep outside the medical station, waiting for Raishin to come through. During the night, they are able to figure out that Cherubim has a circuit that can easily take him out of attack mode. They realize that this is the trick to defeating him. Charlotte plans to tell Raishin about it once he wakes up. Sigmund is worried that Raishin will have become much more powerful by the time he gets to Charlotte. Charlotte is confident that she will still defeat Raishin. On the other hand, Yaya is busy praying for her master. Inside the medical station, the doctor informs Kimberly that Raishin is critically injured, but he will survive. There is the possibility that he can die any time from now, though. His life force is being drained. Kimberly wonders if he will still be able to participate in the evening party. The next fight is between Frey and Loki. Loki was surprised that Frey showed up. He was expecting her to run away as she usually does. Frey is the first to attack, but her attack is easily repelled by Cherubim. Cherubim attacks Ravi, and he knocks him to the ground. Cherubim is about to terminate Ravi, but Ravi forcibly extracts mana from Frey's body to get stronger. He goes after Cherubim, but the more he attacks, the more Frey gets weak. Charlotte is watching in the distance, and she realizes that Frey will die if this continues. She's about to intervene, but Kimberly stops her. Just then, Raishin and Yaya show up to interfere. Loki wants to eliminate Ravi, while Rasihin wants to save him. The duo ends up in a heated argument. Loki fights hard to terminate Ravi, but Raishin and Yaya manage to find a way to stop Ravi from forcibly taking Frey's mana. They are able to save both Ravi and Frey from dying. Ravi and Frey are taken to the medical station where Shuko is to take care of them. She lists out the materials she needs for what she is about to do. After the operation, Raishin finds Shuko where she is sitting, and he thanks her for her help. She reveals that she was able to get a small portion of the circuit from Ravi, so there is no need to kill the automaton again. She further adds that Frey was the one who went berserk and supplied Ravi with more mana than needed. She reveals that Frey is part of the Promised Children. The children are products of divine works. They are basically guinea pigs. The Promised Children have so much mana running through them. They also have circuits running in them. Raishin is surprised that Divine Works is incorporating machines into humans. She says those of the failed surgeries are the ones kept in a tube. Raishin remembers the babies he saw inside tubes while he was in the facility. Raishin gets angry and wants to leave to destroy the facility, but Shuko warns against it. She reveals that the chairman of Divine Works, Bronson, is very powerful, and he can easily take out Raishin while he is on his bed. Bronson acquired the title of Wiseman 20 years ago. Raishin is angry that there is nothing he can do at that moment. The following day, Raishin visits Frey. He assures Frey that Ravi will survive. He says Shuko is the best puppet maker in the world, so there is nothing to be scared of. He also tells Frey to allow Char to play with Ravi once he recovers. He reveals that Char also loves dogs. Frey starts to cry that she is weak, but Raishin assures that she is not. Raishin leaves her room after this. He appears to be angry. He leaves the dorm, and he is heading to the orphanage to rescue the rest of Ravi's units before they are dismantled. Char tries to stop him, but she fails. Raishin and Yaya manage to sneak out of the academy thanks to Komu's ability. They make it into the facility, but they find out that there is no automaton there. It appears that they were already expecting them. Several hostile automatons show up. Yaya and her master waste no time going wild and destroying the first batch of enemies. They get outside to find out that they are already surrounded. Just then, Loki shows up in a grand style. Meanwhile, Kimberly has found out that Raishin has left for the orphanage. Frey is also aware now. Kimberly wants to go to the orphanage, and she wants the two to escort her. Charlotte says she is not going because she believes in Raishin. Frey agrees to follow Kimberly. There is a spy bird on the window listening to all of their conversation. Back at the orphanage, Raishin is surprised when Loki starts to help him and Yaya. They escape into one of the buildings, and Raishin teases Loki. He asks whose side he is on. Loki then informs Raishin that it is punishable under the law to hurt civilians. Raishin retorted and said he had already accounted for that too. He's even ready to take on the whole world just to prove that Divine Works is corrupt. The duo finally agree on something, and they cut through the guards very easily. Loki and Cherubim get outside the building and are surprised when an automaton arrives. He looks up and identifies the automaton as Lucifer. The puppeteer for Lucifer is Bronson himself. He shows up in a cold style and talks to Loki calmly. Yaya and Raishin are watching the scene unfold from the window of the building. Bronson is surprised that Loki has gone rogue. Loki says he has always followed all of Bronson's instructions to the letter. However, his eyes are now open. He attacks Bronson, but he easily cuts off the attack. Bronson retaliates with a counterattack that Loki is not expecting, but Raishin and Yaya end up saving him. It turns into an all-out war between the two groups, but Bronson doesn't seem bothered. He and his automaton just play around with the kids. Loki tries to attack Bronson himself, but he is able to weave the attack and land a blow on Loki's face. Bronson knocks every one of them to the ground. Loki lies on the floor, and he tells Bronson how they have always served him diligently. Bronson answers him by stating that he recognizes his efforts, but he is surprised that he is now choosing to betray him. Loki then reveals why he is angry. He tells Bronson that there are 3 things that he cannot stand. One is those who order him around. Secondly, those who oppose him. Then thirdly, those who betray his sister's trust. Kimberly and Frey are in the distance, and she hears this. She starts crying because she has no idea that her brother cares for her that much. Bronson tells Loki that he and his sister are just tools that he went through great pain to obtain. Loki gets angry when he hears this. He starts to power himself up, but Bronson shuts him down. Bronson reveals that he is not going to end him right there. He has plans to dismantle him alive. Yaya and Raishin manage to stand up again. Bronson is surprised to see that the duo is still alive. Bronson is about to bash Loki's head in, but Cherubim saves him. The stage is now set for another round of fights. Raishin faces Bronson and asks him why he did what he did to Frey. Bronson answers with a simple reply. He says everything he did is because of scientific advancement. Raishin gets angry and goes after Bronson. Raishin believes that humanity should be ended if they are ready to cause pain in the name of scientific advancement. Raishin powers Yaya up and she is able to land a devastating blow on Lucifer. Lucifer falls to the ground and loses functionality. Bronson is shocked when he sees this. Kimberly realizes that Raishin has already figured out a way to deal with Lucifer. He was saving the technique for Loki. After Lucifer is defeated, Loki and Raishin both fall to the ground because they are exhausted. They make fun of each other while they are on the ground. Because the two are vulnerable, Bronson thinks of ending things. He brings out a gun and he is about to shoot Yaya when someone shoots him in the hand. It turns out to be Kimberly. Bronson is surrounded by guards. Kimberly reveals that they are called Cruzada. They are known as the Magician Association Watchdogs. Kimberly tells Bronson that he is under arrest for his numerous crimes, which include the kidnapping of children and the inhumane experiments he has been carrying out. Bronson is led away by the guards after Kimberly has read to him everything he has done. Up next, Loki and Raishin are seen receiving treatment in the medical station. Yaya is disturbing Raishin as usual. Frey comes in with 5 dog automatons. Because they all have names starting with R, Raishin decides to name the automatons the 5 Rs. Yaya continues to disturb Raishin because she wants to get down with him. Raishin manages to escape to the roof. Frey finds him there, and they both talk about their line of actions. After Frey has left, Raishin realizes that he has not seen Charlotte since that night. Suddenly, he sees a girl who resembles Char on the roof. She jumps off the roof, but Raishin catches her. His hand slips off, but Yaya ends up saving the two. The girl cries that Raishin shouldn't have saved her. She runs away. Some seconds later, they hear a loud explosion in the distance. They look up to see Charlotte riding her automaton. Later on, Raishin tells Frey about the girl he saved on the roof. He describes her appearance and the fact that she looks like Char. Frey then reveals that the girl is Char's sister. Her name is Henry. She has tried to eliminate herself in the past. There have been up to 6 occurrences of this, but she is always saved by the school's intervention. After hearing this, Raishin goes to the doctor to ask for permission to leave the hospital. He wants to be discharged so he can go after the explosion. He wants to investigate the explosion that destroyed the clock tower. Yaya, Raishin, and Frey move out together to find Char and her automaton. Frey takes her automatons with her. Meanwhile, a girl named Ravenna is seen talking to a woman. The woman tells her to stop Raishin from snooping around. Ravenna changes appearance and turns into Charlotte. The woman doesn't want Raishin and the rest of the team to find Charlotte. Char gets on her automaton and flies into the distance. Later on, Raishin goes to the girl's dorm to try and talk to Henri. Frey returns to tell him that Henri is nowhere to be found. Frey gives the dog automatons Henri's clothing so that they can sniff it and lead them to Henri. Minutes later, the dogs give the signal that they have found Henri. They find her in the forest trying to hang herself. They get there just in time to save her as usual. Raishin starts to ask Henri several questions because he is eager to know what happened. Raishin wants to know if Char is responsible for the explosion. He has heard that Char hasn't come home. The discussion soon turns into a perverted one and all the blame falls on Raishin. Henry gets overwhelmed and runs away. It is already getting late and Henry has not returned. Raishin realizes that it is time to look for her. They start running through the woods to try and get to the female dormitory again. They are soon stopped by Char, who is riding her automaton. She warns the duo not to get involved. Raishin insists that he will get involved. Char reveals that she will have no choice but to terminate Raishin once he gets himself involved. A flashback scene shows Char and Sigmund discussing. Sigmund points out that it is very obvious that Char has fallen for Raishin. Char keeps denying this and says she will be considered an easy girl if you make it easy. Just then, Henri enters the room. Sigmund and Char are surprised by her. Apparently, she has been transferred to her side. Henri tells Char that she is there to bring her sister unhappiness. The happy-faced Char is wearing immediately turns sour when she hears this. Back in the present day, Raishin decides to participate in the evening party again. On the other hand, Henri is trying to eliminate herself when Char makes it into the room. She manages to stop her from ending herself. She reveals her happiness to see her sister. She is also glad that their mother is alive. There is no unhappiness that she can possibly cause her, Char retorts. Raishin makes his way to Kimberly's office. He needs to ask her some questions concerning Char. Kimberly sits down and asks Yaya to make them tea before she starts saying anything. Raishin puts it out plainly and asks if Char is being manipulated, because there is no way that she will use Sigmund for murder purposes out of her own will. Kimberly is impressed that Raishin is able to figure out that someone is behind everything happening to Char. Raishin asks Kimberly who Char was targeting, and she reveals that her target was the headmaster, Edward. There is only one family that can make Char do what she is doing. That is the Kingsfort family. Felix must be behind everything, she says. They are trying to restore their family back to popular status while they further destroy the Baloo family which Char came from. Raishin gets angry and he is ready to get involved, but Kimberly stops him. She reminds him that they need proof before they can act on anything. Without proof, he will only cause more problems for Char and her sister. Everything she has been saying is pure speculation. Raishin is ready to get involved as long as he can get proof that the Kingsfort family is the culprit. That night, Raishin tells Yaya that he is not helping Char because he is in love with her. He is only helping her because she needs it. Frey also needs his help, and he is ready to give it any day, any time. He then thanks Yaya for always being there for him. The duo ends up arguing with each other when Yaya suggests that Raishin marry her. The following day, Raishin leaves the cafeteria when he hears people talking bad about Char. He and Yaya are standing outside when he notices that the headmaster is inspecting the clock tower. He knows that Char will do something out of the ordinary. He starts running toward the headmaster and he tells Yaya to get Shuko. At that same time, Char shows up on Sigmund's back, heading toward the clock tower. Henry is also heading to the tower and Raishin is scared that she will get killed if Sigmund attacks the tower. Just then, Sigmund powers up and fires a devastating shot at their location. Raishin, Henry, the headmaster, and those with him end up getting sunken into the ground. Yaya rushes over to the scene, but Kimberly drags her back so she will not be spotted by the guards. They might start to suspect that she and Raishin have something to do with the attack. She assures Yaya that Raishin will be fine. He has 9 lives, she says. Meanwhile, Char is at the top of a roof. She is soon surrounded by automatons. A white-haired man is with the automatons. Char is taken away, and she meets with the woman who is ordering her around. She changes appearance into Ravenna. She complains to the woman that she has done everything she asked of her, but the woman argues that there is no proof that the headmaster is dead yet. She also informs Char that Henry and Raishin are buried underground. Char starts to feel bad when she hears this. Raishin manages to wake Henry up. The duo is safe underground. The duo managed to find their way to an underground facility that was used for illegal experiments in the past. As they walk through the tunnel, Raishin scares Henry with ghost stories. She gets down in fear, but Raishin quickly tells her that it is a prank. Raishin then tells Henry that there is a 100% chance that Yaya is already looking for them. She doesn't like seeing him around other girls, so this should be enough motivation for her to rescue Raishin. Back on the surface, a perimeter has been set around the scene, and it is only accessible to the right personnel. Frey tries entering the perimeter, but she is denied access. She runs into Loki, who tells her to stay away from Raishin before she ends up as collateral damage. On the other hand, Kimberly is seen discussing with the secret agents. She tells them not to get involved with the case. Their target is just to observe the development of the case. There is also a report that Raishin is the chosen one because he is the last of his clan members. He is called the Promised One. Kimberly assures Yaya that Raishin is safe for now. Henry and Raishin are navigating through the tunnel when Henry almost falls underground. Raishin ends up saving her again. Raishin realizes that Henri is acting cold toward him. Henri then reveals that she has always hated men because they are scary and violent. Raishin assures her that he won't hurt her. Henry holds Raishin's hand, but she finds it hard to stand up. The duo discovers that Henry is injured on her feet. Raishin gives her a bunch of cookies to cheer her up. They are having a discussion when a girl who looks like Nadeshiko appears. Magnus arrives behind her also. As if that is not enough shock already, the headmaster also shows up. The headmaster then reveals that Magnus is acting as his guard. He tells Raishin not to act recklessly. Raishin takes Henry to a corner and informs her that Magnus terminated his family, including his sister. He came to the school to avenge them. He assures Henry that he will not try anything while they are trapped. Back at the surface, Kimberly tells Loki that she requires his assistance in guarding a particular person. She will give him a rare book as a reward. Suddenly, the white-haired man shows up and attacks Raishin, but the lady, Hotaru, with Magnus, stops him. Magnus orders Hotaru to capture the man. The man and Hotaru fight each other, but the white-haired man ends up escaping. Moments later, the group makes it to the surface. Yaya is so happy to see Raishin and she jumps over him. Later that night, Frey comes to visit Raishin. She gets to the door to hear Yaya and Raishin having a discussion. Raishin tells Yaya that he has a fiancé. Frey hears this and leaves without entering. She drops the gift she brought for Raishin. Raishin tells Yaya that the marriage was arranged by his clan when he was a kid. His clan is no more now, so he doesn't believe that the arrangement is still valid. The arrangement has not been cut off, but he is also not interested in the marriage. Frey is returning to her place when she is ambushed by Char. That night, Raishin and Yaya get to the event site to find out that their opponent did not show up. This makes it 2 days that their opponent has refused to show up. Elsewhere, Char is informed that Henry has been abducted by Raishin. The woman informs her to get Henry back. We get to find out that the woman is Felix's cousin. His name is Cedric. On the other hand, Raishin carries Frey on his shoulders and takes her somewhere remote. He tells her that he intentionally kidnaps her to lure those who are coercing Char. It doesn't take long before the white-haired man arrives. He reveals that he is working for the Granville family. He is able to reveal this information because he is confident of defeating Raishin and Yaya. Raishin and Yaya are also confident that they will defeat the white-haired man. The white-haired man is the first to make a move. He goes after Yaya and he knocks her around. Raishin is looking for a way to counter the man. He instructs Yaya not to anticipate the guy's movements, but to feel them. Even with his new tactics, the guy is able to subdue Yaya and Raishin. He informs Raishin that the young master has ordered him to return with Raishin's head. He is about to eliminate Raishin when Loki shows up and stops him. Loki says his usual phrase about the 3 things he says. Loki and Cherubim are ready to protect Raishin and fight the white-haired guy. The battle between the duo begins, and Cherubim even finds it hard against the guy. The guy easily disappears and reappears where he wants. He kicks Cherubim around like he is nothing. Seconds later, Yaya comes out of where she is buried. Frey and her automatons also arrive. The white-haired guy realizes that he is getting outnumbered, and he quickly retreats. He fails to eliminate Raishin or even retrieve Henry. After the dust has settled, Loki returns to his dorm. Frey pecks him on the cheeks in appreciation for protecting Raishin. Loki arrogantly says he was only protecting him because Kimberly asked him to. The white-haired guy returns to the young master to inform him of his failure. During their conversation, we get to find out that the guy's name is Sin. The young master informs Sin that he is only messing with Charlotte. He didn't believe that Sin would succeed in the first place. Their own aim is to back the Kingsfort family. It would have been nice to have Raishin's head on a platter, but they will make do with what they have. There is also the plan to still eliminate the headmaster, Rutherford. However, it is going to be a difficult task to take him out. He is known as the strongest magician of the 19th century. He also has Magnus guarding him. Sin wonders why Charlotte was sent after the headmaster in the first place. He tells Sin that they have 2 choices. It's either the plan succeeds, which is great for them, or they fail and blame it on the Granville family. Either way, it is a win-win situation for them. In the next scene, Raishin wakes up on the hospital bed to find Henry sitting beside him. Henry appreciates everything he has been doing. Henry then reveals that she and her sister will be eliminated if they fail to end the headmaster by dawn. The promised time is near, she says. Henry wants Russihin to eliminate her so her sister will have the opportunity to run away. Raishin scolds her and says her sister is doing everything that she is for her to survive. He expects Henry to also have the will to stay alive. Raishin is able to get through to her. He asks her if she wants to save her sister or not. With tears in her eyes, Henry reveals her desire to save her beloved sister. Raishin leaves the room to find Yaya and Frey waiting for him outside. He apologizes to Yaya for causing her so much stress. It is time for them to get on the next line of action. He asks Frey if he can borrow one of her dogs to search for someone, and Frey agrees. On the other hand, Shuoko doesn't want them to leave because she doesn't want Raishin to get hurt. However, Raishin cannot abandon the sister on their own fate. Shuko angrily leaves when she realizes that Raishin is not ready to listen to her. Char and Sigmund are seen on a rooftop. He tells Char to reconsider her options, but Char says Henry will be eliminated if she doesn't do what they want. She needs to eliminate the headmaster. Sigmund reminds Charlotte that she was once a sad, lonely girl until she met Raishin. He doesn't want her to lose that friendship, but Char believes that it is too late. Just then, Raishin shows up on the rooftop. Apparently, the dog that he hired from Frey is able to locate Charlotte. He tells Char to leave her current objective and head for her room. He tries to get through to Char by talking to her. Sigmund cuts and tells Raishin that Char has no choice but to do what they ask her to do. Raishin replies by telling him that there is always a choice. A fight breaks out between the two groups. Char rides on her dinosaur while Raishin fights by powering Yaya. The fight gets intense between the two. Raishin tells Char that he can help her get rid of those people coercing her. Raishin drags Char off her dinosaur. The duo lands on the ground and Raishin is already weak. Char looks up to see Sin looking at her. Sin reminds her of her main objective. Char gets angry and tells Sin that she is done being their puppet. Sin comes after the group and he beats them around. Char wonders how he is so powerful. He reveals to Char that he is no ordinary automaton. He is known as the Divine Mechanic, a machine doll. He explains further that he is a machine and a doll at the same time. He has no room for imperfection. Simply put, he is completely autonomous. He doesn't need a puppeteer to function. He is very confident that the group has no chance against him. A flashback scene shows Shoko making Raishin an offer. She will give him the strength to fight Tenzin. If he wins, he is free, but if he is defeated, Shuko will take his body and do as she pleases. Now in the present day, she points out that Raishin has been doing whatever he wants even though he promised to be her boy. Frey is seen with Henry at the dorm. Henry wants to end herself again, but Frey's dog is there to stop her. Frey then reveals that Charlotte has told her about her plans before embarking on them. However, she didn't want Raishin to know because it was sure that he would stop her. Even if he doesn't stop her, he would want to join you. After the conversation, Frey leaves the dogs in the care of Henry. Frey tells Henry that she is going to where Raishin is. Back in the forest, Sin continues to play around with Raishin, Charlotte, and their automatons. Char and Raishin are surprised that they are quite powerless against just one guy. Raishin thinks of something and he tells Char that he only needs one big hit from her. If she can do that, there is the possibility that Sin will be defeated. Frey and Char soon arrive at the fight scene. Raishin sets the plan in motion. He backs Yaya and powers her up. Sin believes that Raishin is wide open and he comes after him, but Yaya grabs him. He tries to break free but fails. Raishin pumps Yaya with mana and she throws him into the nearest building. She continues to hit him until Sin bleeds. After delivering so many blows, Raishin tells Char to fire on Sin. Sigmund cooks a powerful blast and shoots it at Sin. He takes some of the damage, but he manages to evade just in time. This is a surprise to Raishin and co. Sin shouldn't be able to dodge the attack unless there is a puppeteer nearby. Raishin calls on one of the dogs and the dog sniffs out Cedric, who is sitting in the distance. Raishin is able to capture him. Sin is also subdued. Cedric is impressed that Raishin was able to deduce that Sin had a puppeteer. He then tells Raishin not to rejoice because he has not won the battle yet. Suddenly he disappears, and Sin also uses the opportunity to escape Yaya's grasp. Raishin is pushed to the ground. Sin is about to terminate Raishin, but Yaya gets powered up out of nowhere and she goes after Sin. With a red aura emitting from her body, Sin stands no chance against Yaya. He quickly retreats and Cedric joins him. As they fly away, Cedric reveals that he is not actually Cedric, but Alice Bernstein. She is the number 87 who should have fought Raishin at the evening party. Alice then promises to fight Raishin and Yaya during the evening party. She is glad to have learned some new things about Raishin and Yaya. After the dust has settled, Char and her sister settle things between each other. Char reveals that she has been jealous of Henry because she has a slightly bigger personality than her. It turns out that Char has been using paddings to make her personality appear bigger. Elsewhere, Kimberly has gone to see Magnus. He is still in the headmaster's security role. Kimberly teases him by saying being powerful sometimes has its own setbacks. Magnus is tasked with the role of protecting the headmaster because he is powerful. Kimberly talks about the bandolls that Magnus has been creating. She lets him know that the secret organization is keeping an eye on him. During their conversation, Kimberly addresses Magnus as Tenzin. Magnus says he will continue down the path that he currently has. He doesn't mind that his brother is trying so hard to kill him. As he leaves, Kimberly informs him that it is against the magician's code to try and create humans. Later on, Raishin is at the hospital and his friends come to visit. While Henry and Char are busy flirting with Raishin, Yaya is in the corner boiling with anger. Their noise was so much that Loki needed to show up with his weapon just to get them to stop. Kimberly then arrives to inform the group of the headmaster's verdict. The tower will be rebuilt using the Blues family assets. Their assets are frozen, which means the government is basically paying for the cost. Kimberly has decided to take Henry under her wings. After divulging all the necessary information, Kimberly leaves. Raishin thinks to himself that the case is far from over.